So it's been approximately 200 days, a little bit less, but 200 days sounds more awesome, since I got the Apple Watch Ultra as my main watch. Now, coming from the Apple Watch 7, I didn't actually expect that much to be changed, since I'm just the average dad doing average dad stuff, and I'm not really into sports and doing a lot of scuba diving, extreme hikes, and I'm not really pushing this watch to its limits, and I'm not using this as 90% of you are using this watch. So yeah, I haven't been taking this watch to the extreme yet. But as the average person, I must say I am extremely satisfied with my purchase, and this has lived up to all my expectations. But just like the Apple Watch 7, which I had for about 2 years, there has been some up and downs with the Apple Watch Ultra as well, and there is things with this watch I don't like and which really annoys me. So in today's video, I want to share my long-term 200 days later with the Apple Watch Ultra, and I'm also going to give you the things I don't like about it and how I fix it. Now, as I mentioned in my last video about the Apple Watch, I mainly use this as my daily drive instead of picking up the phone. So the more I can avoid the phone, the better it's going to be for me. Having the phone nearby, always constantly checking notifications, constantly checking Instagram and TikTok, whatever you use. I'm gonna say it again, it's not healthy, and it's, it's not good. Now, as for the apps I've been using with this watch, it's the standard apps that a lot of people are using. It's nothing fancy, there's no paid apps, everything is free, but it is the my car app, the sleep tracker, heart rate, the weather app, a Jellyfish tap game, and Waypoint and Backtrack. So these are the main apps that I use on a daily basis. And in today's video, I want to try to round up my experience as good as possible, and hopefully that will help you in deciding whether or not this is gonna be a good investment for you. Because $800 is not really cheap for a watch. Now, ever since I got the Apple Watch Ultra, it's always been on my wrist, like literally every single day, all the time. The only time it's been off is when it needs to be charged. So that means it's gonna be off for a few hours. So roughly calculated, that means I will have to charge this watch about 120 times in a year, give or take a few days or times, depending on how your layout is set, and also if you have a lot of active apps running in the background, like sleep tracker during night, Spotify, workout, and all the daily apps you use in your life. So coming from the Apple Watch 7, this had to be charged every single day, so 365 charges in a year, which also means the battery health will drop faster. So how is the battery life on the Apple Watch Ultra now 6+ months later, to almost 200 days now? And if we go into the health check here of the battery, we can see that it's still on 100% capacity. And this is also expected since the battery is both bigger and gives you a longer delay between the charges. But it's going to be really interesting to see how much this has changed after using the Apple Watch Ultra actively for 1 year. And as for my watch here, this has never been turned off. This has been on ever since I got it. The only time it has been off has been when there is a new watch OS which needs to be updated, then it's off for a few seconds before it comes back on. So that's the only time it has been off for 6+ months. I haven't seen any changes in the duration of the length that it's able to run before you need to charge it, and that's gonna be 3 days. If you turn things off, you will be able to push it longer, but it really depends on the activity going on your watch. If you have a lot of calls, text messages, if you check your email, if you have the always on screen display on, you get a lot of notifications and all of that, it's gonna run out faster. But if you turn all of that off, it's gonna run for a longer time. So that's also something that I think a lot of people gets mixed up. They get the watch and they experience that the battery life is not as long as they expected. That's the main reason, because if you have things running in the background, it's gonna suck the power out of your watch and you will be forced to charge it sooner than later. Now, in my previous Apple Watch Ultra review and the accessory list, I received a few comments on bands and which band would be the best suited band for the different activities, and if they would easily pick up on dirt and be hard to clean. And I also said that I love to have a huge selection of Apple bands, and I did not lie. I'm now the proud owner of 21 bands, and I probably have 15 more to come in different color variations, all combined with a total price of one original Apple band. Yes, these are all bought off of AliExpress, some are off Amazon, and the total price is $100. And that's what you have to pay for one original Apple band. I'm not doing that. It's a complete waste if you ask me. I can't justify paying $100 for one band because I know for a fact that I want more than one bands, and if I want, 8 bands, it's the same price as the watch. So I prefer paying like $1 or $2 for the watch bands, and if they tear, if the quality is worse, I have not noticed any difference in the quality from the original ones that I've used, just to make that clear. But if you should happen to pick up a band from AliExpress, from Amazon, which is not living up to your expectations and the quality is a little bit worse, after using it for a few months and you feel like you need to change it out, buying a new one is not going to be that expensive, especially if you buy it from AliExpress. But like I said, these are holding up pretty well, and I haven't seen any changes to the quality after using a few of these for about 6 months. The only thing I can see with the one I'm having on now, it's a little bit dirty from all the use, but I'm actually gonna go and clean this up. I'm gonna show you a before and after image of this Apple band that I'm currently using, and this is the one that's been on my wrist for the longest time. So I'm gonna go and clean this up, and then I'm gonna show you before and after, which you can see right here. Now, I don't really see the differences that you see right now because I haven't actually gone to clean it. It's still on my wrist, and I will probably go clean it later once the video is done, once I've done recording the video here, and probably after editing the video as well. But yeah, you can see the differences, or if there is not any differences, I don't know. But yeah, the pictures are here again, and you can see it for yourself. And this band was $2, I think, from AliExpress, maybe $1. I will leave some links down in the description below as well if you want to check out the bands and the collection that I'm using. This is the collection that I'm having. Also this tray here, I'm gonna leave that down in the description below as well if you want to check it out. This is handmade bamboo, I think. Really nice, really nice. But anyway, I've been using each of these types for about 1 month straight to see and feel the difference between each band. So here we have the ocean band, we have the trail loop, alpine loop, and the leather link and a silicone link. And surprisingly, they are all easy to clean, and most of the time they actually clean themselves when I'm taking a shower. Even the alpine loop and the trail loop, being all fabric, the dirt easily comes off. But if it doesn't, you can easily clean it with some warm water and some soap. Now, I also received some questions regarding the alpine loop and how fast this dries up from being soaked in water. Now, since most fabrics usually stays wet for a longer time, the loops actually dried up pretty fast, both the alpine and the trail loop. And after a shower, it was actually pretty dried up after a few minutes. Now, since I've been using each band for about a month straight now, mainly to see which band I personally prefer, I haven't noticed any difference with the bands at all. But they do have some differences, like the trail loop is the easiest to adjust on your wrist along with the leather links, and the ocean band and the alpine loop is those being most secure. So that's also something to consider when you go in to buy your Apple Watch Ultra for the first time. You can always get the extra bands later for a cheaper price, but a band will also be included once you purchase the Apple Watch. So here you can also decide which band you should go with. And if you just want something which is quick and easy, I would probably go with something like the trail loop. Personally, the alpine loop is my favorite, and especially the orange one, which you probably have seen and probably know already, but orange is my favorite one. And I also have this ocean band here in orange, which I'm really excited to use when I am going out to do some water activities. But if you're gonna ask me, alpine loop, easy to adjust, easy to wear, it's comfortable, and it looks cool. That's my opinion. And if I should recommend a band, I would go with the Alpine Loop. But there is one thing that I can't get over with the Apple Watch Ultra, and that's how comfortable it is to wear this watch. After using it for such a long time, it's pretty clear that the quality, comfort, and overall usability is on a whole different level compared to the other watches I've used. This is also a good time to say that Apple did not sponsor this video or any of my Apple Watch videos. I paid full retail for this watch, and I also paid more than you probably did for this watch because I live in Norway. So the total price of my watch was $1,025 US, which is insane. So $200 of import fees brings this watch up from $800 to $1,000 here in Norway. But if you enjoyed this video so far, please consider dropping a like. And also, if you're brand new to this channel and this is the first time that you are jumping in on one of my videos, if you haven't subscribed already, that would be really appreciated as well. And talking about appreciation, what I really appreciate is the comfort and quality of wearing this watch on my wrist. And I've also seen a lot of you commenting on the size of this watch and that you think it's too big. But I have fairly small wrists, and this sits perfectly on my wrist with no issues at all. But if you should consider getting the Apple Watch Ultra and you're quite unsure whether or not it's too big, how does it fit on your wrist, and is it something that you're going to be comfortable wearing on a daily basis, I have one recommendation to you, and that is to get to the nearest Apple store. And then you can check out the watch, you can put it on your wrist, and you can see how it fits. You can get the feel of how it is to walk around with, and then you will easily find out if this is something that you want to spend $800 on and invest in, and something that you can use on a daily basis. And if you live close to an Apple store, there's nothing wrong coming back every single day just to test it out. It's gonna look a little bit weird, but yeah, there's nothing wrong in doing that. So if you're unsure, it's $800. It's not cheap. So if you're unsure, make sure to check it out and see if you are willing to invest the $800. Now, as for the apps, what I've been using most is of course, it's the sleep tracker. I know you probably heard this 1,000 times before, but as a dad having two kids, one 6 years old and the other one 1.5 years old, sleep is essential and something all parents will lack until their kids reach a certain age. So sleep is something I've been missing, but also something I've been gaining more of lately. And for me, this is also a nice tool to see if my youngest sleeps through the night or has multiple wake-up periods. So all the orange bars that you see here, these are the periods that she was awake, or where I was awake because of her. And when she sleeps throughout the entire night, my watch or my sleep tracker looks like this. Now, this is also something that a lot of people are not using the sleep tracker for, but I like to monitor that. Well, I don't know about you, but if you're a dad, you can probably relate to that. But with the sleep tracker, I'm also able to monitor my heart rate to keep a track of any changes that could happen throughout my sleep, which has become something I check every morning. And for every single morning, I remember back in the day when you had this awful alarm clock that was just beeping your head off, trying to wake you up. And yeah, it did wake you up, but it was an awful and a horrific way of waking up in the morning, if you ask me. So with the sleep tracker, I get more of these relaxing spa wake-ups, which each morning starts with some subtle vibration taps on my wrist, which gradually increases in strength, and also the alarm sound also starts off low and then increases in volume. So waking up has definitely been more relaxing, and I can highly recommend testing this out if you haven't done it already. If you have an Apple Watch which has a sleep tracker, just give it a test and see how that works for you. It's been the best change of how I wake up in the morning ever since I started using it. So it's definitely worth testing out. I also mentioned I've been using some other different apps in the past as well, and this is my car app. And this is also something I use daily, but this again depends on whether or not you have a car that supports the use of an app, and if that app is available on the iOS and also compatible with the watchOS. But I use this daily to preheat my car before taking the kids to school and kindergarten, and I also use this to check if the car is locked and if the car has any updates, and also how much power it has left. So for me, it's one of the most used apps after the sleep tracker. And another thing which I really think is awesome is because my car is connected to the Apple Watch, I can use waypoints and backtrack to pinpoint the exact location on my car, which is really awesome. It doesn't matter if I parked it on a different location, the app will instantly update and instantly give me a new direction to where the car is parked. The Ultra also has a dedicated action button which you can map to different tasks like workouts, waypoints, shortcuts, etc. I mainly put this on waypoints, but I've actually only used it once, so to me it wouldn't actually matter if the action button was there or not, because it's not something I really use. But I can definitely see myself using the action button a whole lot more this summer when we are going on a trip, especially the dive computer, or the dive computer Lite as some of you might call it. What I really love with this is how accurate it is with depth and also the temperature. So I'm really looking forward to use this watch on a whole different level than what I'm used to when I'm out traveling. I will also make a full video on that later to see if anything has changed with my use of the Apple Watch, and also my take on how it is to travel with. Is it convenient, and how do I use it when I'm traveling, and what's the pros and cons with traveling with a watch like this? So stay tuned for that as well if you want to learn a little bit more about my take on how this is to travel with. Now, I've also been using a game on this watch which is called the Jellyfish Tap. It's actually quite hard. It is fun though, but this is something I use a few minutes now and then, just, you know, to have something to do, I guess. It's also a free game, so it's worth testing out if you haven't checked it out already, and this probably works on all the different Apple Watches, but with the huge screen that we have on the Apple Watch Ultra, it's definitely easier to, you know, tap the Jellyfish. I'll leave it down in the description below if you want to check it out. Now, before we wrap it up here, there is a few cons to the Apple Watch Ultra as well, and something that really annoys me. And I've also seen a few people out there claiming that this has been fixed with the Apple Watch Ultra, saying they have no issues with this at all. I have this every single day until I changed my watch face. Now, these icons on the edge here, if you decide to have a layout like this, they will open. You will constantly touch these with whatever part of your body, and as a dad, changing diapers, playing around and doing all these dad things, it opens constantly. And I don't see this as a problem that has been fixed from the previous models. Just because the screen doesn't have the rounded edges, you will still be able to touch it by accident. But if you're not using the always on display, which I do, this will not be, or might not be, as big of an issue. But I'm getting these watches because I want the always display on, because it looks awesome, and I don't want to have a watch which has a black screen, always have to do like this. I'm gonna check the watch, what's the time. So I actually had to change my watch face because of how annoying this was. With the look I'm having now though, it's only happened a few times, I would say 3 or 4 times, but I also think this looks a little bit cleaner and more organized. So this has been my main watch face for a few months now. So the big question is there any marks on the watch after using it for about 6+ months? Like I said in my previous video, I smash my wrist into things all the time, and it's not because the watch is heavy. It's only 60 grams or so, but it's mainly because I'm trying to take shortcuts where shortcuts can't be made. Not really, but my arms tend to be all over the place, and usually hit something every single day. But the Ultra has held up pretty good, and I can't see any marks or scratches. So as for the most average user of this watch, I must say I'm quite satisfied and happy with my purchase. I have no regrets on spitting out $1,000 for this watch, and in matter of fact, it has been one of the greatest investments that I've done, because I spend less time on my phone, which is good because I basically have everything that I need on this watch and on my wrist, and it also looks extremely cool. Not to mention the titanium case and the sapphire crystal. It's rated 9 out of 10 on hardness, so this thing can take a beating. And because of all of that, the overall, just the Apple Watch Ultra being Apple Watch Ultra, I think it's worth every single penny. So what's your thoughts on the Apple Watch Ultra? Do you have one already, or are you looking to get one? One of the things I'm really curious about is how is your daily routine with the Apple Watch Ultra? Let me know down in the comment section below. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you found it helpful and found any value in today's video, let me know by dropping a like. And also, if you're brand new to this channel and this is the first time, or if you've been here for some time but you haven't subscribed already, now is the time to do so. That would be really appreciated as well. And that's gonna be everything for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.